Hi everybody, it's Claire. This is going to be a tutorial, a special tutorial on these beautiful Coliro, otherwise known as Finitech watercolour paints. It's a tutorial specifically for our Joanna Basford Your Pages group. I'm an administrator, one of the administrators for that group. We are currently running a 2-week-long event forum run by one of the other administrators called Bex Harris, very, very talented colourist. And she asked me to do a guest slot specifically for these beautiful paints and how I use them in terms of mixed media, mixing them up with coloured pencils in some of my pages. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And if you've seen my tutorials before, you'll know that I have released some videos around these before, but today was specifically about examples of how to work them into mixed media. So I'll come back to these in a moment, and I'll come back to the other kit that I've got out in a moment. But what I wanted to show you was quite a few examples of what you can do with these paints in terms of mixing them up with your colours. So I have in front of me, you'll have seen it many times before, my beautiful Ivy and the Ink Butterfly by Joanna Basford. And I just want to take you through some of the example pages that I've pulled out so that you can see what I'm referring to. So this is the first one. Now let me just get it so that you can see both pages. And what I'll do is I'll keep flicking the page up and down so that you can really see the how the paints catch the light, because they're absolutely beautiful. They're mica-based paints, so all of the little metallic pigments catch the light. And I have to thank Claire Eady, Colour with Claire, for introducing me to these paints, because I've used them so much and to so much effect. It's a big thank you to Claire for telling me that they existed. So you can see on this page, I wanted to show you the bee, so you can see how effective they are for the wings. The wings almost look transparent, and then I've used the Arabic gold for his body. So if I just keep flicking through, you'll see here I've got a bigger bee. If you can see him there. And what I'm going to be doing is when we come to actually do the tutorial itself, I'm going to be working on this bee here, because I thought that was quite a good example. Then I wanted to show you this one, because this is a good example of how you can use them as a frame. So you can see the beautiful golden archway, again in Arabic gold, and it works really well against the coloured pencil backgrounds. This is all Prismacolor pencils background, so you can see just as I'm moving the page there that it's so effective. And this one was a bit of a leap of faith, because this shows you how you can use the paints to literally do a full double page. And you can see that when I move them and they catch the light, that they are absolutely stunning, and they're very easy to use. The only thing you need to get right is the water content, because clearly these aren't watercolour books. They're just normal carded paper, so we'll go over that when we come to do the tutorial. But I just wanted to go through the book to give you some idea as to how you can use these. And again, this is a Prismacolor faded out coloured pencil background, and it works really well against the paints. So moving on, this one I did the sea, so you can see that if I just move this up slightly actually for this one, you can see that the sea is all of the different coloured paints, and the same for this side. Let me move this back down again. And this one I thought was a good example to show you, because this one I used it for a mirror. So I made this particular design into a mirror using one of the silver, I believe it was the sterling silver paint, and you can see it really does almost make you believe that there's a reflection on that page. Can you see? And I used the Arabic gold again here just to pull out some of the gold of the crown. And you can see some of the little gems that I stuck to this page as well. Now this one was a good one because it's Pika's parlour. So Pika's a magpie. Clearly he collects lots of gold shiny things. So what I did for this one was use my Arabic gold again. And can you see where I've just picked out all of the little shiny pots and plates and spoons and things? And then what I did do as well, which was quite nice, is when you look at magpies, they're not just black and white. They've actually got kind of metallic feathers. So what I did here was actually blended a few of the Coliros together to give him some beautiful metallic feathers, if you can see that. I think you can as I'm moving it. I'm just looking in the camera and I think I can see what you can see. This one was just a little quickie. I just wanted to show you that you can use the gold. It was because this is a golden compass that Ivy has. Just use the gold for there. And you'll have seen some of these pages on my tutorials already. This one I wanted to show you because I used it for flames. So can you see at the bottom all of the reds and golds and oranges and yellows? You see how effective that is for the flames? And I also used it on the griffin's wings. Now this one, again, I have to make another shout out for Colour with Claire, Claire Eady, because this was her original design for a Joanna Basford competition. So I absolutely loved this, and I got in touch with Claire at the time and said, how on earth did you do that? Would you mind very much if I replicated that in my book? And she's a lovely lady. She's one of my good friends. She told me exactly where I needed to get the stencil from, exactly what to do with the paints. And you can see, isn't that stunning? And that's Claire's original design. So I have to thank her a million times over for letting me use that. Candlestick. So anything metallic really works really well. So you can see candlestick. And then the Dragon's Den, the Dragon's Castle was also another good page because there's so much tankards and metal bowls and vases and the treasure chest. It's just a really good one to use it on. Again, we're going back to Arabic gold. You can see I've used that quite a bit. But it's so shiny, 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 shiny. And just some of the last ones that I quickly wanted to show you is I used it. So again, going back to metallics, the sword there and the crown, you can see on the dragon, it's really effective. And then I think this is not quite the last one. Just highlighting the butterflies. So you don't just have to use them for metallics, they can be highlights as well. And you can see how well they work on the beautiful butterfly wings. Again, just another quick example of a frame. So a golden frame for Ivy. And this is the one that I did want to show you because this took quite a while because all of the dragon is blended Coliros. And I do have a separate tutorial on blending these paints. But it just looks so effective against the black and grey perspective tunnel. It works really well. So hopefully you can see that. And I think this is the last one, yes it is. Again, just showing you how you can highlight the butterfly. So can you see the little outlines are in the gold colour again? And that was one of the ones that we did the tutorial for when I did the shadow technique. So let's just move Ivy out of the way. And what you'll see underneath is just another quick example, but I'll put this out of the way. It was just one that I'd done for the colouring competition, so you can see I used it on the leaves there, and sorry it's picking up the light in the art room. You can see that I used it for the outline as well. Okay. Kit. The paints. They come in 43 different colours. They come in sets of 6 or 12 from Amazon. However, what I would advise you to do is if you are going to look at using these paints, they're quite expensive if you buy them in packs. Now, you can buy them from Coliro direct in Germany, and you can buy them individually for, I think, €4 each, which if you're wanting to try them, I would advise you to try 2 or 3 individual ones first. Just pick some colours from the coliro.de site. It's a German site. And the postage is quite, it's relatively reasonable as well. So you can see they come in all of these beautiful colours, but I would recommend that you try the individual ones first, and you can also buy these trays separately as well if you wanted to. So I need to keep this tray and this tray for what I had in mind. So let me just move those two out the way. Then what I have is, I have just a little cleaning cloth. I have my black Prismacolor pencil. It's a little short one, but it doesn't matter. We have 2 paintbrushes. These are modelling paintbrushes, so you can see they're very fine tip. This one at the top is a 50 and the one underneath is a 30, so they're very fine. They're not any particular brand. These one I think have golden maple on, but I don't think that's the design. I think it's what the handles are made of. But you need something pretty tiny for the work that we're going to do. And then I have my little famous egg cup full of water, which Gail particularly loves. She thinks my little egg cup is really cute. And then what we have lastly is a Staedtler pigment fine liner. Now I know, because I've seen Joanna ink some of her work, that she uses this exact pen in the size 0.2 nib. Now because we're going to go over some of the lines that we paint, because it doesn't matter how accurate you are, even if you've got a really steady hand, you can't help going over the lines a little bit. And Joanna uses a 0.2 pigment fine liner, black pigment fine liner, when she's inking her work. So I'm using the exact same pen that she does, so that when I go over the lines, it's the same thickness as what she's already drawn on. So, moving swiftly on. So let me grab my tutorial book, my tutorial Ivy, and you can see I've come back to this bee. So what I'm going to do at this point is zoom you in and move the book a little bit so that you can see what I've prepped and what I'm going to do. So you can see there I've done a little preparation on him. These two bands are literally just block coloured in black pencil. Doesn't have to be a Prismacolor pencil, it can be any black pencil you've got. Then what I've done is, this band here is painted rather in the Arabic gold colour, and I've just left that to dry. And this is dry now, so I've got my fine liner, and just where I've gone over a tiny bit on this edge, like that, I'm just going to go over it and re-outline it. Okay. So you can see it's quite good because I'm mixing. It's a good example of what I want to show you, because I'm mixing the gold and the pencils, just so that it's a really interesting effect on the bee and you're not just colouring him in yellow. So while I've been talking all this time, before I started the tutorial, I put a few tiny drops of water, just with my brush, I put a few tiny drops of water onto the paints, because what you need to do with these paints, and it's quite important, is to put a little tiny bit of water on and then leave it. Leave it for about 2 minutes, because what you want to do is thicken up the paints. There's 2 reasons for that. The coverage is a lot better, so you get a lot deeper, richer coverage without streaks. And secondly, you want the paint thick, because this isn't watercolour paper. So we're going to be using very, very, very little water, and the less watery you can get this paint, the better it will be. You're not likely to warp the pages, but if you do use a lot of water, there is that potential. So we're going to use this product as dry as we possibly can, although it's a watercolour paint. So, and I'm using this Arabic gold. And in this instance, I'm going to use my slightly finer brush, which is my 50. And I'm just making sure that you can still see what I'm doing. My little paint pot. I'm just going to reactivate. Push this up a little bit for you. I'm just going to reactivate, because this is already wet, remember. This is already wet a tiny bit. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to block colour this in. So I've got very, 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 very little water on the end of this brush, and the paint is already thick. So then it's just a case of, I'm just going to check that you can see what I'm painting. Yes, you can. So then it's just a case of colouring it in so that the paint goes on nice and thick. And because I'm using such a fine brush, I can get right into those little kind of jagged lines of his fuzzy fur. And they really are so effective. I use them so much. Things like the inside of flowers, so the centre of flowers. Just if you're doing a coloured pencil page, or even a marker page like Bex does, or even a mixed media like Bex does, the coloured and the coloured pencils and the markers. Just the inside of flowers, just to give it that tiny little highlight. And Gail Kemble has some of these too, and she has used them to glorious effect. What Gail has done is, I don't know if you've seen Gail's eel, Joanna Basford eel design, but she actually made a wash out of these, which I've not done before. But because it was a printout, because it wasn't in a book, because it was like I don't know if it was a download, but she'd made a copy anyway. It wasn't from a book. So what she did was she could afford to apply a lot more water and made it really thin. And when she put it across the top, she just washed it across the top of the eel, and it just was just like a shiny snake skin. It was so effective. Okay, so it's as easy as that. The trickiest thing about these is getting the thickness content correct. Okay, so we're just going to leave that little bit to dry. I'm going to clean my brush off, and then what I'm quickly going to do is, because I don't want these tutorials to be massively long, I'm just going to go to the other set that I have out, and I'm going to be using Fine Lilac, Shining Pink, Green Pearl and Blue Pearl, just to colour his wings so they look translucent. Okay, so again, these have had water on them already. Now I'm not going to do all of his wings because it'll take too long, and I don't want this video to run and run. Can you still see what I'm doing? So I've just chosen to use the pink. And because these are so translucent on the page, you won't, or you may not be able to see it until I actually turn the page for you a little bit. So remember, again, these have already had water on them while I've been speaking, so they're pre-thickened. And you can see I use so little water on the page. You're just not going to warp the paper. You just won't. You won't be able to get enough water on the tip of your brush. So if I then move that around a little bit, hopefully you can see, there you go, when it catches the light, look how beautiful that is with the translucent colour. So we'll just do one in Blue Pearl, I think. This one. And then I'll show you how we use our black pencil to give him fuzzy fur. And again, you can see I've gone over a tiny, tiny bit there, but what I would do is I would wait for this to dry and then go over it with my fine liner. Because like I say, even with a tiny brush, you just can't help it. You just can't. Okay, so can you see that if I move that around again? See how beautiful that is? So let's just clean off my brush, and I think I can put the paints away for now. What I want to do now is go to my fine liner and my black pencil. So now that this has dried a little bit, and it won't take very long to dry, it'll only take a minute or two, it's just reapply this outline like that. Easy. Now then, this is the good bit, because this is the bit where you get to mix pen media as well, so markers. So what I'm going to do is, and I'll just do it on one edge because you'll get the principle. All I'm going to do is make tiny. I'll just make sure you can still see me. Yes, so my hand's not in the way. All I'm going to do is make tiny. And can you see? It makes him look fuzzy and furry. So you're actually putting marker over the top of the dried paint. It just makes them really cute. And then what else we can do is to make him even fuzzier. And again, I'll just do a small bit. So I've got my black pencil. I'm just going to, so little circles, scumble in, little circles, very lightly, just up against his body. Just so that you get the impression of fuzz. Because bees are fat and fuzzy. They need fuzz. I like bees. Not so keen on wasps, but I like bees. So I hope I've given you some ideas of how you can use them in the various pages. I know these examples have all been from Ivy, but hopefully it'll give you some idea of how versatile they can be in terms of applying them to different things, so that the mirror and the metallics, and using them on the bee instead of yellow. So we've got like a little fuzzy edge. Let me just zoom in on that for you some more and pull this down slightly. Hopefully you can see that. So we've got the fuzzy edge around here. And then all we're going to do is we're going to do the same with the Staedtler fine liner. Just going to put some tiny, just over the top of where you've done the light scumble. Just going to put some tiny fur lines. Like that. And I think that's probably as long as I want to take this video for today, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But hopefully that's given you some really good examples. As always, any questions, you can drop me a line. This will be going on to my YouTube channel as well, so you will get this on Claire Holoway Colouring. It will go on my Pinterest board, which is of the same name. So if you wanted to have a look through the gallery, you can. So if you wanted to go back and have a look at all of those pictures, it's Claire Holoway Colouring on Pinterest. You can go and have a look at that gallery. And there are, as I say, another couple of tutorials on my free channel for the Coliro paints. One of them is about blending the Coliro paints together, so how to get a seamless finish between two colours within the same space. So if this has piqued your interest a little bit, by all means go and have a look at those. And again, any questions, drop me a line. Bye for now, guys.